Hi, everybody. My name's John Lacey, and this is Coffee and Content. And as you can probably tell, I'm a little bit disorganized this morning, and you can totally see behind me. So let me just rejig that for a second. It's amazing what you can do in OBS Studio rather quickly. I should probably move this way a little bit. Hi, everybody. Like I say, my name's John Lacey, and this is Coffee and Content, the weekly live show about video, live streaming, and content creation. Some of you may have noticed that last week we didn't actually have a show. I was in a lot of muscular pain. I spend a lot of time in front of this computer, probably too much time in front of this computer, and I just couldn't do it last week, and so we didn't actually have a show. So sorry about that if anyone was missing it. I sort of do miss the opportunity to reach out to people via this medium. I think it's a really great way of doing things. So yeah, firstly, I guess, sorry about that. But secondly, this is Coffee and Content, so we're all about the coffee. So let me just take a sip right now. Through coffee, all things are possible. So this week, obviously, Americans have been celebrating Thanksgiving. We've also had Black Friday. Cyber Monday is ahead of ourselves. So we don't really celebrate Thanksgiving here in Australia, but I did want to sort of take the time to reflect a little bit because I think, especially as a content creator, we can be a little bit stuck in the weeds sometimes. You're so busy making the things and promoting the things and recording the things and transcribing the things that sometimes every day is what I affectionately call Blur's Day. And we don't really have the opportunity to sit back and sort of think about the things that we're grateful for and the things that we're looking forward to and the people we appreciate. So I kind of wanted to take Thanksgiving as a cue, really, to reflect on my own experiences and think about the things that I'm grateful for. Because let's be real, as a content creator, we really we can be so impatient. I swear, every time I release anything, my first response is, "Oh my god, someone actually watched that," and then it's followed up with disappointment that more people didn't watch that. And I think sometimes it's really hard because, you spend a lot of time, a lot of energy building things that you're really, really proud of, and they just don't get the reach that you hope they would. And I think sometimes I'm particularly guilty of being negative about that kind of thing. And I don't like to sugarcoat things. I don't like to pretend things are better than they are. And I get the impression that a lot of people in this world do. Like there's this huge focus on positivity at all times, in all situations, almost in spite of any evidence to the contrary. And that's not usually who I am. But by the same token, I think, sometimes I probably judge situations and experiences too critically. I think in some ways, this is a great time to be a content creator. You wouldn't believe how good the technology is. And I say that as somebody who's been around for a while. When I started using the internet, we had dial up. So the fact that we've got faster connection speeds, the fact that live streaming is even a thing, the fact that we've got software like OBS Studio and Restream and all those great tools and technologies, not to mention the hardware, the Rodecaster Pro that I've got, my microphones, the Stream Deck. There's so many great things, and it makes my life easier in terms of creating the content. But I really do feel like the place I still struggle with is getting people to care. And if I'm being honest with you, I think that's a bit of a theme throughout my entire life. I'm not a particularly popular person. I don't think people go out of their way to hang out with me necessarily. Um, and I feel like the content I create is really good, but sometimes it can be so frustrating when you see somebody really just phones something in, but because they're, just inherently more charismatic or more popular or whatever, it just seems to get a lot more traction. And that is so frustrating at times. That is just so frustrating. I can't even tell you. In fact, on that note, I think I better have some more coffee. I feel like it should go without saying, but given the topic of today's live stream, I should actually say it. I am grateful for coffee. I would not exist without coffee. I would not function without coffee. I cannot tell you how much I love coffee. So thank you, all the coffee producers out there in the world. But I'm also thankful for other people in my life. I'm thankful for people that have supported me even when they don't really understand what I'm trying to do. Because let's be real, I have a full time job. I work all week, and then outside of working hours, I make videos and do live streams. And I'm sure people around me are like, why do you do that? Why do you not, chill out and party on the weekends? Why are you always creating things? And to be honest, some days I wonder that myself. I think last weekend I probably wondered that myself, especially. And like it's really difficult for me to articulate the kind of thing that I feel like I'm moving towards and the thing that I would like to build. But there are people in my life that support me anyway, even though it's not terribly obvious what that might be. So I'm thankful for everybody that's connected to me via social media and YouTube. I'm thankful for my YouTube watch time. It's not huge, but it's something. And those people didn't have to watch my content. They could have gone somewhere else and done something else. And I do genuinely appreciate that. I appreciate Sam Proof, who's been so generous in his time um, with the interviews I've done with him, with our relatively new live streaming and video news podcast. I'm thankful for so many people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a funny place, and I kind of wished I had more friends on LinkedIn. Um, but those that I do have been incredibly supportive, and I do appreciate that so much. Because sometimes it's just enough to know that you're not speaking to a void. Sometimes that in itself can make a world of difference. So I genuinely really thank those people. And like I said before, I cannot overstate how great the equipment is for video recording and live streaming in 2022. Like, you have no idea how good it is. And I say that as someone who uploaded his first YouTube video 15 years ago on a Sony sort of handheld recorder. And if you compare the video quality alone between that and these things that we have today, it's just like there's no comparison. Like, it is amazing how good the stuff is these days. Like, you have no idea unless you've sort of lived through it or done that comparison. So those are some of the things that I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that I do have a day job. I do have a source of income. I know some days my day job doesn't spark joy, as Mary Kondo might say, but I do really appreciate the support of my coworkers and my team. And I do, we have to acknowledge on some level that the world is structured in a very particular way that requires us to have a source of income. And I know, like, especially on LinkedIn, there are so many people that will tell you, oh, you've got to be your own boss, you've got to start your own business. And those things potentially can be great as well, but it's all a struggle. It all requires effort. And don't take that lightly. Don't feel like you're missing out because you're doing one thing and not the other. Because it's all valuable. It's all potentially quite valuable. So I appreciate that. I mean, if nothing else, it's helped me buy equipment and software that I use for my video creation processes. And I do really appreciate that. As we go out to live today, we are, of course, enjoying some of the Black Friday and sales that are out there. Cyber Monday is ahead of ourselves as well. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I didn't buy anything because I totally did buy some things, and I'll probably talk to you about that more next week. But I guess what I want to encourage you is to do is, don't obviously don't go into debt. Like if you can't afford it, you don't need it. Um, and again, that's another thread that I know on LinkedIn. People are like, "You've got to spend money to make money," and it's like that's great if you've got the money, but just don't open yourself up to crippling debt. Don't go hungry. But that said, if you do have the money, by all means, go out and see what's available and purchase the things that you think will help your content creation process. I'm going to hold off telling you what I bought until next week, so tune in if you want to hear more about that. Then, but I guess the other thing is just take a step back and consider the things that you've already got and the equipment that you're using or maybe not using. Maybe you've purchased something and you put it in the back of a cupboard somewhere and you forgot that it even exists. Is there an opportunity to get that out of storage and actually put it to some use, if that's something you're interested in doing? Of course, another thing I'm incredibly thankful for is OBS Studio. Of course, it's free and open source software that you can use for video recording and live streaming, and I'm very passionate about that, and I'm hoping to make some more content about using that particular piece of software. But I'm appreciative of all the people that have worked on that amazing product and essentially have done it for free. The programmers, everybody that's involved with the documentation and the support of those sorts of things. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend OBS Studio. You can find out more about it at obsproject.com. I'm going to drink some more coffee because why not? This is Coffee and Content, and my name's John Lacey. We're going out live today on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. So if you're out there watching live, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear where you're coming to me from. This week, we're talking about gratitude as a content creator, and a little bit, like as I said earlier, it can be very, very taxing on our patience sometimes because we want to achieve all of the things and do all of the things and be all the places and get all of the views, and life doesn't really seem to work that way. So we've got to be patient. But I think given Thanksgiving happened in America this week, it's a really good opportunity to sort of step back, take stock, and just think about some of the things you're doing and some of the things that you're genuinely grateful for. So I'm grateful for this opportunity to live stream on a number of different platforms. I'm grateful for the software. I'm grateful for Restream, which I'm using with OBS Studio. I'm appreciative of the people that will watch this later on and those of you joining me live right now. And I know sometimes people don't understand why I'm doing this, but I guess I'm excited by the possibilities and the opportunities. And I guess as a teenager in high school, I used to write poetry and stories, and I would record music. I wasn't a great musician at that point in my life, but I actually got some MIDI software, and I would compose things in a piece of software called Noteworthy Composer. And basically creating MIDI files that I would render as audio with some software-based synths. And I would literally burn those things to CDs and DVDs and CD-ROMs and that kind of thing, and actually give or sell to people in my immediate community. And I think at the time I probably sold or distributed like maybe 10 copies of that thing. And I also I was a programmer too at that point in time. I used to create programs in Basic and Pascal, Visual Basic and Delphi. I think might have been Ball and Delphi back at that time. It's But essentially, like I would create games and I'd create software and I'd put them all in this thing together. And again, as I say, that might have reached maybe 10 people. And at the same time, the internet was becoming a bigger presence in my life. Of course, we did start out with dial up internet connections, which were slow and painful and very noisy. But one of the things that came out of that was I was able to create my first website on GeoCities. And you do need to be of a certain age to even know what GeoCities is. But if you're fortunate enough to be of that age, it was essentially a place where you could create your own website, and it was sort of broken up into different theoretical geographical locations. I think my website was on the Sunset Strip from memory. And it's not and I sort of I included so much stuff like the software I created, I uploaded all of the things there, and it wasn't like it was some massive viral success even at that time. But I thought the the power of it just really struck me, you know, that I could reach people outside of my immediate geographic location, that I could share with a much broader audience, and maybe an audience that had more niche interests. Maybe I couldn't expect the people, you know, that just happened to be in my class at high school to be interested in the same things that I was interested in. But maybe, you know, if we had a bigger pool of people to choose from, you know, maybe that's the way that we can essentially build a community. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. And again, I don't know that I would say I've been massively successful in that pursuit. I really would have hoped to find many more kindred spirits than I have. But like I say, I'm still excited for the opportunity and the possibility of that happening. So I'm going to keep showing up, you know, outside of my sore back, as was the case last week. But generally speaking, I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep sharing, and I'm going to keep hoping that there'll be more people that are interested in the same sort of things that I'm interested in, and that we can have a communication and a bit of collaboration around these things. So that essentially is where I'm at the moment. And I'm incredibly thankful for the tools, the technologies. I guess one thing I didn't mention was that I'm also grateful for my web hosting, my domain names, and WordPress as a content management system. So, again, whether you're formally celebrating Thanksgiving this week or not, it may be a good opportunity to have a bit of reflection and just think about some of the things that you are thankful for. Sometimes it's really easy to be irritated by the things you wish had gone differently. You know, the view counts that you wish was much larger than it actually is. But again, content creation is a process, community building is a process, learning to communicate and use your tools are also processes. And if you're committed to this thing, you've just got to keep going. That's where I'm up to, and I'd be fascinated to hear about your process and where you feel like you are at the moment. And of course, what you're actually thankful for this week. So next week, I want to talk to you about some of the things that I have purchased as a consequence of Black Friday, or even the lead up to Black Friday. So I'm very excited about some new hardware and some new software. So I'll talk to you about that next week. Until then, enjoy your coffee, enjoy the possibilities, keep going, and try to be thankful for what you've got. I know sometimes that can be really hard, but I choose to believe it will be worth it in the long run. So thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you again soon.